Happy New Year to everybody, it's Martin here. This video isn't the vinyl tag, but I have done one because a couple of people have asked me. I've actually done two of them. I don't know, was there even like three this year? I didn't really like some of the questions, but and also it's been a bit difficult putting it all together and taking me a long time, so I'll do that next time. In the meantime, we're in the middle of January 2020. Excuse me. I just thrown some records together. Just watched John Downing's 6-inch pianist video, and a few other people I think have been talking about Britpop lately. And is it an anniversary? Well, it's a long time ago anyway. So I just picked out some records of bands. Some of them are Britpop and some of them are not. That's sort of from that period of time. So I'll whiz through them. And John, in his video, he just showed some singles this morning, and he mentioned a gig, sorry, a concert that was at Milton Keynes Bowl. Now, who was playing? There was 2 days of those concerts. And I went to one, and during Radiohead, I actually fell asleep. I don't think I was stoned or anything. I don't think so. But they were very laid back and chilled, and I don't know. It was a very hot day. I remember the other bands that played because it was REM's Summer Day Out. It was REM, Radiohead, Sleeper and Cranberries, maybe. I can't quite remember, but I think I've been down for 1 or 2 of those bands at the front. My mates didn't like Cranberries. I think he called them the Crapberries, from what I remember. Anyway, here's some bands, some Britpop. I think I've moved on to other things by the mid 90s, but certainly all the Manchester things I was very much into beforehand, and then I think I swung to grunge a bit for a while, and then I don't know, maybe I just was elsewhere. And I worked in a record shop until '97, so that would be most of Britpop, I suppose. Anyway, some bands started not Manchester, but that sort of time, and then they went right through Britpop. Like, for instance, Blur. This is their first album. I suppose it's a bit more shoegazy and 60s influenced than some of our other stuff. And I am going to show these sort of in order, but albums. Then they moved on to this, Modern Life is Rubbish. I think the only time I ever saw Blur was on one of these roller coaster tours. This is going to turn into a long video, isn't it? I've ruined this by folding it and putting it in the record, actually. But never mind. I mean, I should have put that in the. There's quite a lot of posters and things I used to get in this record shop where I used to work. Should have kept them all flat. Actually, I did work in a cinema for a year as well, and I don't know what's happened to all the posters I pilfered after they've been in those big backlit display things. I know that I used to change them, and they were a real pain to change. Sparklight, so that's one of your archetypal Britpop albums, I guess. I didn't bother with the next one. That was Leisure, wasn't it? When you had the big the battle for the #1 record, and it was Roll With It, Oasis, and I think Country House won over it. This is that's '97, so they're definitely steering away from the Britpop thing and getting a bit more experimental by this one. I mean, I'd recommend all these albums. I mean, even the one I was just talking about, I think I would probably recommend as well now. Here's some promos I got. That's Pop Scene, so that's not available on an album. That's from the first album kind of period. And Bang, unedited, edited. And then I had this, and I had to swap it at a record fair to get it. It's Pet Shop Boys remix of Girls and Boys, and To the End as well. Yeah, so moving on. Here's another band. I played a couple of these records at my vinyl night in my local pub, which unfortunately is dying a bit because no one really goes apart from the same people. I think I can say that. It's a Sunday night, so maybe people just don't want to go out Sunday night. I don't know. So this band were not necessarily Britpop, but they were sort of like a. Well, actually, the area of Thames Valley, Oxford, was sort of a bit like where a lot of shoegaze stuff came from. But this band were not shoegaze; they were pop. And this isn't their name. Thousand Yard Stare. This is a 10-inch, and they did gigs all the time. They eventually got signed by a major label. I think was it Polydor. I think they got onto Polydor, and maybe had a top 40 hit or two, and then sank without a trace. This I definitely got from a gig. It's a one-sided 12-inch. How on earth I managed to? I mean, you wouldn't usually give away a record at a gig. Certainly not. It must have been at the end of the gig. This was the label that they were on, Stiffled Aardvark. So that was Thousand Yard Stare. Thousand Yard Glare. So they didn't last very long, I can assure you. Well, other things were going on in the 90s and Britpop. So, Portishead, Bang, Bang. I've not got the live one, but eventually I got round to getting this, which was quite late, 2008 that came out. By that time, 2008, I was I'd transferred to getting stuff in charity shops, and I suppose modern music I'd wavered from at some point. Here's a band, not Britpop, not cool. It's Telemetry. Got first album, and Spit in the Rain, 12-inch, and second album. And after that, no, not interested. Saw them a few times live. Okay, another uncool band now. Got their first couple of albums. Deacon Blue, When the World Knows Your Name, and Raintown, with obviously the classic Dignity single on it. My manager was friends with, record shop manager. He was friends with, well, probably all of them, to be honest with you. Yeah. Did he? I think he probably made a joke about me or something, and then I had to answer the phone or something, and it was one of them. And I don't even remember really, but anyway. Right, next, this band. This is very muddled, this video, sorry. So here is Oasis, a band I never saw live. And, well, this divided people. At the time when it came out, it was cool, and then suddenly there was this big backlash amongst the hipsters of the day that they weren't cool anymore. And yeah, you should only have the first album, but then the same thing happened with their third album, which I don't have. And I think I had. But this is the only other thing I have by them on record. It's is this Aphex? It's Analog Bubble Bath. Androgynous Amorphis. Someone will probably remember who this is by, but it's an alias for someone or other. It's like a sort of a psychedelic little symphony on a 12-inch. Right. Well, if you like Britpop or whatever, this wasn't a cool band. This is my Sisters of Mercy collection. They're all promos, which I got off the Warner's rep. This is Under the Gun and Alice. Who's Alice? And I've got more 12-inch, normal 12-inch. I've got, they only did, was it like 3 albums, I think, as Sisters of Mercy. Floodland and Temple of Love. And that's all I've got, and I suppose in a way I should get the others, but I've been a bit lazy in that respect. Is another very uncool band. They all are. Birdland were obnoxious punks, almost a little bit of a precursor to what Manic Street Preachers were like before, and this was about 1990, so this was really uncool in 1990, I think. I've got that. Don't think I've got any bootlegs apart from this. Yeah. Weird now. I suddenly realised Birdland is a name that's more for jazz aficionados. This is got some tracks, and it's also got a bit on Jukebox Jury where they call Phil Collins a little bit more than a tosspot when he jokes that he likes them, but he doesn't. He says, "Right on my street, Dave." And that leaves me with 2 bands that were slightly cool, but not really. The major label one, and then the more indie pop version. I mean, the Primitives, unfortunately, became overknown for Crash, used in probably about 30 Hollywood films, I would have thought. And they followed it up, I think, with Out of Reach. I don't have the album that had all their early demos on it or any of their earlier trendy things, but I've got the first album, which is great. The second album, which is great. Pure, which sort of died a bit of a death. And then if they hadn't been finished off by that, this came through RCA BMG. This was 1991, and this really finished them off. And Primitives. After that, I was about to go and see them in London. Might even have had tickets, can't remember, and they split up. They have got back together again now, though. It's just some other 12 inches as You Are the Way. And signed Primitive Spells. There's 2 different versions of it here. We've got this concentric groove, which you don't know which one he's going to play. And this might even just be the same thing, but a promo. Earthing, Emphasize. Yeah. It's the same. Empathize. Sorry. No. Empathize. Yeah. Sorry about that. Empathize with me. This was out on 4 formats. I might even still have the other formats, I think. Lead Me Astray. And the band that were like Primitives but were on a major label that I did go and see once with a girl. They were called the Darling Buds. This appears to be all I've got, I think. The first album, Pop. They're from South Wales. That's very poppy, and then they went a bit more copied, well not copied, but they went a bit more grunge, fuzz, whatever you want to call it. With this is called Crawdaddy, and it's from really need reading glasses. I've been saying this for far too long. I don't know where it's from. I'm going to have to find out now. Hmm. 1990. I thought it was later than that. Okay, so that's that. I think they did another album after then, and I think actually this was from it. Sure Thing. And that was pretty much the end of them. I think with the advent of like grunge and Britpop, it killed off a lot of bands, and I suppose that was because a lot of the record labels just followed suit and got rid of a lot of these bands. This is Crystal Clear and Tripped Up. Mixed and produced by Stephen Street, known for his work with lots of bands, including what I just showed you, Blur. Crystal Clear, a mix. Yeah, so I hope that was of interest, and I will do vinyl tag. I've got it here in my diary here, all written down. Still slightly work in progress, but thanks for watching, and I will finish my cup of tea and crack on with stuff. Cheers now. Bye.